Hey everyone, it's Devin at Tekton. Today I am excited to announce a brand new product line of ours, the MTR mobile tool rolls. These are a big initiative for us. We have built a US supply chain to source US made, US manufactured materials and are assembling these things fully in-house at Tekton in our sewing and manufacturing center. We have developed 4 different designs for different users, starting at our smallest, which would be the MTR2 Mini, something that's super compact, doesn't hold as many tools, but it's really for compactness, portability, and it's really its size that is important on this one. Let's start off with the amount of SKUs. So we have 12 total roll SKUs as well as 4 shoulder strap SKUs. The first comparison I would like to show you guys is that these are, this first mini is 11.5 inches tall by 20.5 inches long. So fairly small. It's got 2 interior 3-dimensional pockets, a flap, and some flat lay pockets. And then you jump up to the MTR3, which is slightly longer. This one is 24.5 inches, and it is slightly taller at 16.5 inches, so 5 inches taller. Between the 3 and the 4, you have the same width, just the 4 has an additional pocket. So this one is 28.5 inches long. And then finally on the XL. So the XL is 20.5 inches wide, so 4 more inches than the 3 and the 4, and it's the same length as the 4, it's just wider. So you'll see the same length, it just is a little bit wider than it. So those are the 4 different models. They come in these 3 different colors. So the first one here is Ranger Green. The Ranger Green will have a red interior lining that goes all the way through the bottom of the product. So even behind the flat pocket, you'll see the red. That's mostly for high visibility. It's kind of shadowy in there. I didn't want tools to get hard to find, especially like dark tools, the black oxided tools like L keys and impact sockets, to get hidden or hard to find on dark backgrounds. So that's a high visibility lining. The Ranger Green has that red lining. The Tactical Gray will have the red lining as well. Also, the poles have paracord, red paracord. For the high vis orange, we have, we just use the high vis orange in the back as well as high vis paracord poles. All of these products are designed to fit our twist lock socket rails for mobility. So with the 2 Mini here, we have our 8-inch socket rail, fits perfectly inside of this pouch. The overall width is 11.5. This does have a 3/4 inch trim binding on the outside. So the actual usable space of this pouch is 10 inches and this rail is 8. So it fits nicely in there. The MTR2 Mini, or the MTR3, has 16-inch total, 16.5 inch total width. That's a 15-inch pocket, and these rails are 13. So they fit nicely inside of here. These are twist locks, so they're ultra compact and very portable. The sockets won't easily fall off. And then for the XL, we have our 18-inch socket rails, twist lock as well. Again, this one's 20.5, so the pockets are 19, so it fits the 18 perfectly inside of there. I'm going to walk through the features on the 2 Mini. A lot of these features do apply across the category. So we'll start on the inside. I'm going to start here on the 3-dimensionals. All of the MTR products start closest to the flat panel with a 4-inch wide by 3-inch tall zipper pouch. These zipper pouches have tabs on both ends, so you can grab the zipper, unzip, grab the tab, and zip up. Those zippers are US made YKK number 8, just so you know about the size. And we've faced the coils inward to keep the dirt out of that textured coil, to protect the functionality a little bit more. In between the pouches, you will see an elastic loop at the ends. You can store long items such as breaker bars, pry bars, extra long ratchets can sit between these pouches and get kind of pinched in there when you roll it up. And these loops just help keep them from tipping outward. That webbing there in between has enough width to accept a lot of those skinny long products, and it's sewn all the way through to combine all of these layers together. The pouch here at the end is only 3 inches wide by 3 inches tall. The reasoning for the 4-inch is to give you more options for wider products like pliers, deep sockets, and hammers. Whereas these are better for skinnier, longer tools like your ratchets, your extensions, pliers. I mean, all your other tools fit great in these. So now I'm going to move over to this flat panel. On the Mini, you'll see it does have a flap. This is the only model with a flap. The flap has 2 small pockets in it. And just as an example, I want to show you our hex bit rail. This is a 9-piece hex bit rail. This is our 1/4-inch drive. It tucks nicely inside of the flap here. So push it in there, tuck it in, flap open and close, and it fits nicely. Of course, you can fit other small items like a roll of electrical tape or Teflon tape or whatever industry you're in. The bottom here is the flat pockets. So this has the wider panel. I'll show you some of the skinnier pocket widths on this one, but the wider panel for pliers and bigger items like a bit driver to go with the bits, or a ratcheting bit driver, maybe some cutters. Over here is a skinnier part for maybe a ratchet, a wrench, adjustable wrench, you name it. And then there's elastic sewn at the top to help keep them from sliding out and hold them tight. Behind or underneath all of this, up to the webbing, there is a zippered pocket here at the end, and you can fit flatter lay items like paperwork or stuff that has some bendability to it, like gloves, zip ties, or smaller items like electrical tape. You can fit pliers in here, but the space is a little bit limited. When you do roll this up, this is really designed to enclose all your pouches. So yes, you can put stuff in there. I probably wouldn't bulk it up too much. Okay, so that's it for this flat panel. Now I want to talk about, or this first side, let's get to the ends. So we have 2 nylon webbing handles that are tubular, so they're hollow on the inside, and that allows us to weave a rope in there for more padding and comfort. I've also made the gap here big enough for people with larger hands, or if you're even wearing gloves. These dual handles on the ends are great for if you're working on something on a table, on a workbench. You can grab these handles, move it over to another working location easier. You can also kind of, you're not quite done with the project, but you're trying to move it. You can kind of lay your tools, bundle them in here, and fold it in half and walk with it for longer distances. Still like a non-committal way of rolling the whole thing up, buckling it, having to unbuckle it again. So I would call those mostly like the secondary handles. Now on the back, there's another one of these handles that runs in the same direction, but it's fastened down much more securely. I would call this one the primary handle. It's located right with the metal D-rings. And it does have a very robust and very reinforced stitch here. This is a box X-Tack, and it goes through all this webbing and all through these layers of fabric. So this is very strong. Next, let's talk about the 1.5-inch webbing and buckles. So there is an adjustable dual buckle feature here on the back. This is a 1.5-inch buckle. So it's nice and wide. It is not a light duty buckle. It's very stout in its functionality and how it feels. It's not like super loose. I chose this width so you can use it with like work gloves and still be able to get this thing off more easily and not have to, use the tips of your fingers on those little 3/4 or 1-inch buckles. I also wanted it to just be more durable and take more of a beating over time. So you actually have 2 of these on here, as well as this adjustable strap is quite thick, thicker than the exterior webbing here on the outside. And I did that because I wanted this to be a very positive feel and hold very nicely to your setting. One great thing about this Mini is its portability. I recently went on a snowmobile trip. I'm up here in Michigan, up to the Upper Peninsula, and these are fantastic for fitting inside of your tunnel bags on your snowmobile. You can fit like your clutch tools, you can fit spark plug sockets and things like little quarts of oil, trail maps information, all kinds of things, registration, things that you need to bring on the trail, maybe a little tow strap. I did have to tow a buddy out of the trail, so it worked absolutely fantastic. So that's the 2 Mini. Now, a lot of the features I just went over are shared throughout. It's just a little bit bigger scale. So depending on what you do for a living, if it is used professionally, or what you're trying to do, you may need bigger tools. So that's kind of the scaling up approach. So the first one was a 2 Mini. You had 2 pouches. This one's a 3. It has 3 pouches. So again, the 4-inch first, 3-inch, 3-inch. Now, one major difference between the 2 Mini and the 3/4 is this flat panel. It does not have a flap. It has facing pockets. So the top layer is the same layout as the MTR 2 Mini for pliers, and they're a little bit wider, and then the bottom they're skinnier. I just wanted to give you some options and variability. So maybe you have like a pocket flashlight or a pickup tool like a magnet. Maybe you have a mini pry bar for this skinnier section or an extension. And then growing up, maybe you have an adjustable wrench or a combination wrench. This section really is for quick access, your go-to. And this is more for bulk organizing of tools. Like maybe you want all pliers in here, but it's more of a loose fit. You'll see that there's 2 rows of elastic on this, and don't be thrown off by the stitching. That is very intentional. The stitching on the elastic is offset from the pocket, and that's to jog it inward. I wanted it to be kind of like a V, where it captures the product and chokes it before it can slide out. And I also wanted to have some form of staggering, so if you do put longer tools in here, it's not just one straight tunnel it's going through. It's getting pulled from both sides, and it helps just secure it better. Now let's move on to the 4. So the flat pocket section on the 4 is identical to the 3. So no changes there. The only difference between the 3 and the 4 is this 4th pocket. So MTR 4 has 4 pouches, so 3D pouches. If you need more separation between tool categories, or you're just bringing more on the trail, if you have something in your vehicle that you want to keep under the seat and keep it relatively small, these are great options. If you're a mobile mechanic and you need more stuff to work on, more things, you're going to want to build it up into the 4 and the 4XL. The 4XL I kind of call the mobile toolbox. It is absolutely huge. It can hold 50 plus pounds of tools. Honestly, it's hard to get more weight in there. I mean, I'll show you a walkthrough on this. This is a 4 of just how many tools you can actually get in these things. So again, identical, available in different colors, and just has the additional pocket than the 3. Okay, so finally, the biggest of all is the MTR 4XL. I'm going to stand up here and show you, just how big it is. I'm 6 foot tall, I weigh about 170, and so you'll see that it easily covers my entire body. So yeah, size is huge here. Just depends on what you're looking for. Like I said, it fits the 18-inch socket rails beautifully, and bigger items like the 17-inch pry bar, 24-inch ratchets can be laid between this pocket and inside of these elastics. Bigger items, 1/2 inch drive, 3/4 inch drive. This thing is big and beefy and can really help you tackle those big jobs, especially as a professional. I mean, this thing can have all the tools you need to do most of the work that you need to get done. So XL available in orange and gray, of course. I want to talk a little bit about the add-ons. So these are all available without straps as a start. And I didn't want to make anyone pay for a strap if you didn't want a strap. So they are an add-on, and I wasn't sure who wanted pads. If you want a pad, you can add that as well. So these are the shoulder straps. So all of these have the metal welded D-rings with a epoxy paint finish. And this is a metal cast zinc spring-loaded snap hook that does swivel. So the swiveling is nice to get this strap aligned and straight for your shoulder. This does adjust from 24 inches all the way up to 40 inches. So if you like it tucked up under your arm, you can do that, or down by your hip, you can do that. The pads, let me get this set down here. Now the pads do come in all 3 colors, and you can choose whatever color you want to go with, whatever color pouch you choose, but they are also sliding, so you can get that thing centered on your shoulder nicely. They use a 1/4 inch thick piece of foam inside of there, so there is some good padding there. These products are only available on Tekton.com initially. We do have plans to expand that in the future, but right now the main house is Tekton.com. These are manufactured in-house, and we are manufacturing them every single day. So if it's out of stock today, feel free to check in tomorrow, because there's likely going to be stock coming in. Another option you can do if it's out of stock is click the notify me when in stock button, and we'll send you an email when it does come in. So now I'd like to show an MTR4 loaded down with some hand tools to give you guys a good example of how this thing holds tools, how it can function, and I'm going to start here on the left. So on the left, I have an example of how some of our other tools can fit nicely in here, and even big ones. So this is our 6 through 24 millimeter combination wrench pouch. It labels the wrenches nicely, keeps them nice and organized and tidy. So if you don't have one of these, you can get them on Tekton.com, and it's fairly large, so it fits snug in there, and that's a 3-inch pouch. Next is another 3-inch, and in here I just kind of have a random assortment of different pliers, a pick and hook set, punches and chisels, and a wrench and a bit holder. Again, you can see how there's a lot of space here on the bottom. It could fit quite a bit more tools, and I'll show you some of that adjustability on the back at the end. Now, in between these pouches, I have tools that are longer than the pouch. So this pouch can hold 15 inches inside of these pouches all the way down, and things that are longer than that, especially things like breaker bars, pry bars, and ratchets, can fit nicely between. So there's an elastic strap that you can weave product through to keep it from coming out in that direction. And when you roll this up, it tightens it down and kind of locks it in there for transportation. The next pouch here is another 3-inch pouch, and in here I mostly have just like a 3/8 drive system. I have some accessories, extensions, a ratchet, a couple bit rail examples, so some Torx, metric sockets on our twist lock rails, and a flex head ratchet. These are great. These twist locks are great for portability. They lock on there, so they don't come off. Now, again, I can fit quite a bit more in here. Next is our 4-inch pouch. So this is the widest of all, and we've kind of put the heavier, bulkier one right in the center, so you're not slinging this thing around. And this wider pouch is good for things like hammers, excellent for some off-road kits. This is a 47-ounce Deblo steel face hammer. A pair of wider, bigger pliers, like a pair of groove joint pliers. And then primarily we have this outfitted for deep sockets. So this is a 3/8 deep socket set. This will also hold our hand drive 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch and 1/4 inch drive deep sockets. And also some of your accessories like your 3-inch extension, of course, on the rail, and some other adapters. Okay, I'm going to move on to the flat pouch pocket section. Over here I have laid out in some tools to kind of give some examples, and I'm going to start here on the first pouch, or first pocket. This is the skinniest pocket. I have a ratchet, polished handle ratchet in here, 3/8 drive. Some other great products that could fit in there is like a mini pry bar, a pocket flashlight, a magnetic pickup tool. Here I have a 7/8 combination wrench. It's kind of the bigger of the wrenches that would fit into this slot. And I've kind of shown this as an example of if you do have wrenches in a pouch over here, you wouldn't want to dig that out all the time. And if it's something you're using daily, it's nice to kind of have it quickly accessible. Now, next is an adjustable wrench, and then we have a 6-in-1 driver. So some of these pouches are a little bit wider for handled things or pliers. You could use this for a ratcheting screwdriver, magnetic bit driver. And then we have at the top, there's only 3 pouches, 3 pockets, and this one is the widest. You can fit pliers and such up there. Notice there's 2 rows of a 3/4 inch wide elastic. Those are great for holding tools down. Of course, you can weave them through to keep them from sliding back and forth or wiggling their way out. Underneath of this flat pocket section is a pouch, zippered pouch, that goes all the way up to this webbing. And it's great for flatter items, but it can house whatever you need. I would recommend flatter items such as gloves or paperwork or a pack of zip ties, smaller items like electrical tape or bit rails, because this thing has to fold over and be the cover flap at the end. So you don't want to get this thing too bulky, or else it won't cinch up all the way tight. So next, I'm going to talk about these side handles. These side handles are great for moving the product around from workbench to workbench, and you can hold it and pick it up this way from workbench to workbench. So if you have other tools around, like maybe you have an electronics project going on, you can kind of set the stuff in here, move it out of the way if you want to get a new project going, or you're just trying to get it from your tailgate of your truck over to your side-by-side or wherever you're working on. You can do it that way. So a second great way to carry it. So now when you roll it up, I recommend grabbing that handle and picking the pouches up, kind of rolling them tightly. And I like to grab the buckle next. So buckle, flap it over. These are obviously adjustable, so you can loosen them, cinch it down, loosen it, you can cinch it down. Okay, now I know a lot of you are probably inclined to grab this handle, and it is safe and fine to hold, but it is prying on that flap, and it puts a lot of stress on it. What you should be doing here is we recommend the primary carrying handle, which is on the back. It's extra reinforced. So we have box X-tacking on the sides, there's webbing going underneath, and there's a lot of layers packed in right here. And this is also where your shoulder strap connects. So if you're carrying a long distance and you don't have a shoulder strap, this is really the one that's designed to carry the most weight in that direction. What is nice about these 2 handles is you can get really good leverage by grabbing underneath the handles like this and picking up that way. So if you're in like an awkward spot, like a tailgate of a truck, and you're trying to get to this, and you're having to reach your hands way out, this helps a lot with that, getting that extra strength with both arms rather than having to grab it by one and drag it around and potentially scuff it up. So if you have to get to like a gas tank, you can grab this, pull it out of the way, grab your gas tank, put it in, and you're done. That's the handles. Of course, throughout, I've kind of showed that there's a little bit of extra space, and this adjustability is nice. This thing can handle a lot more tools, and it can adapt to that. Thanks for listening. That was my walkthrough of the MTR4. If you guys need any more information, you can go to tekton.com on the product pages to see all the other sizes and shapes that you can get. And if you guys need to know any more information, such as pocket widths, pouch dimensions, that's all at the bottom of each PDP product page in the specification section. It'll all be dimensioned out there for you. Thank you for listening. My name is Devin, and I hope you guys have a good one. We'll see you later.